As of August 31st, the DC Universe, the New 52, is now 1 year old. And to celebrate this month with looking back, they're going to be doing 0 issues. This week was the first run of them. And let's jump right in with how I felt about what came out and what I got with Action Comics 0. I keep getting Action because it's a kid thing. When I was a little kid, I really loved Superman and Batman. And I really want to love this book. This and Detective, I honestly don't know how they've been doing it. I've heard so many people say that Grant Morrison's doing amazing stuff on this book. I hate them. Both Superman books are killing me with how bad they are. I need to drop them, but I can't bring myself to do it. It's like me sticking around with the Uncanny X-Men too long. I should have dropped that book 4 or 5 months before I did. This I probably should have dropped last October after the first issue of each, because I mean they're just not that good. I'm hoping Superman's going to turn around this month with Scott Lobdell and Kenneth Rockford taking over, and I'm hoping this book turns around after issue 16 when Grant Morrison leaves. It's just this doesn't it's 0 issue is supposed to be like an origin thing. This is no origin. It's a little kid who steals Superman's cape. It's the story of a little kid who steals Superman's cape. I mean, I feel bad for the kid. He's got an abusive father. The father tries to stab him, and the cape protects him because it's Kryptonian, and it breaks the knife. I mean, you feel bad for the kid. You really do. I mean, it could have been. This is something I wish would have been a backup feature in a book. I hate to say that because I mean it's a good story, but it was not 0 month material. There's no prequel to it. I mean, it's. I want to love this book, Grant Morrison. Why do you make it so difficult? At least for me. Apparently everybody else loves it. I'm the only one. Next up, Earth 2, number 0. I've been loving this book just because, one reason being it took down 1 million moms. Woot. But, it had the Trinity in action for the first time. Last time we saw them, they died. So that was interesting. But this dude, I don't know his name, Mr. 8 or something. I know he's got an 8 on his chest, and he's wearing red armor. He's got a sawed-off shotgun. A sawed-off pump-action shotgun. That's kind of weird. But it had them in action. You find out the big craters that were in the first issue of Earth 2 were caused by him and a bunch of nuclear explosions he set off, thinking he would save the world. And he had a great line about how, you may find me insane, but I'm doing what needs to be done. I may have insane methods, but I'm going to do what needs to be done to get rid of this invasion. Something like that. It was an interesting twist, but didn't really do it for me. So, moving on, we're going to leave the lovely 0 month for a couple issues now. We're going to still be DC in this one. It's going to be Smallville season 11, number 5. Batman in Smallville, finally. 10 seasons they tried to bring this bastard in. This rich, vigilante, goth-obsessed bastard. They could not bring him in because DC said about the time they got to the point where they wanted to, that because Batman Begins was in production, people would get confused between a Batman on a big screen with a deep gravelly voice who fights the lion from Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, that people would be confused if he was on Smallville. I don't know why, but apparently he is. All I know is this had a big controversy because right here, I don't know if you can see, is Nightwing. It's a female Nightwing, though. So the big thing is it was supposed to be Stephanie Brown, the Batgirl that all these Batgirl fans want to know what the hell happened. I mean, there's some characters that haven't been mentioned in the New 52. Wally West, the Flash Wally West, hasn't been mentioned at all. But Stephanie Brown. Stephanie Brown's got a huge following, and nobody's heard from her. In fact, for 2 summers now, I think, the DC creators have been getting questions by one person. And in fact, they've kind of been assholes to her, and the fans have been kind of assholes to her. And I think I've mentioned her on here before, and I think she has a legitimate point, but to no avail. This was supposed to placate them. Well, at the last minute, they switched it to Barbara Gordon, who's Batgirl, the original Batgirl. And they said it was more iconic. Well, here's the question. That's not Batgirl in the Smallville universe. That's the Smallville universe Nightwing. And we'll get to this later about who Nightwing really is. I'll focus on that here in a bit in my flashback pick of the week. But it's the original Nightwing's Dick Grayson. And they said that they changed it to Barbara Gordon because it's more iconic. Bullshit. Just woo woo bullshit alert. I mean, no, more iconic, you know, character for Nightwing is Dick Grayson, not Barbara Gordon. Barbara Gordon was humping the more iconic Nightwing. But no, well, maybe not, because she was in the chair by then, maybe. I don't know. She was making out with him. I know that because I've seen that in the book. I don't know about humping because it's a kid's book, but I know they dated. Anyway, back on schedule. It's bullshit. It's honestly bullshit. That pissed me. I don't know why it pissed me off. I'm not a big fan of Stephanie Brown. I never read anything with Stephanie Brown in it, but it's bullshit. Not more iconic. More iconic is Dick Grayson. Anyway, good book though. I really loved the way they put Bruce in the Marvel shit, Smallville universe. It was an interesting read. I'm looking forward to seeing the next part. This is actually issue number 5 is actually issue 1 of the second episode called Detective, and it's really good, and I'm looking for the second part of Detective. I'm looking forward to that. Moving on to Ghostbusters number 13. Wrapped up Haunted America in Seattle. It was really fun. I didn't like the last issue. Issue before that, but I'm really pumped to see them go back to New York and fight these people who stole their technology and have been working in New York as Ghostbusters, but not really. The best part of this, though, is Ray talks about a random fire that happened in Seattle in the 1800s. And if you've seen the movies, if you've read any of the other books, he's always talking about some great fire or great blast of whatever year in whatever city. And there's a great little scene where he says about a fire in Seattle, and Bankman just looks at him and goes, we need to have a talk about how you have all this knowledge about the fires in the greater United States area. It tickled me in a funny way. So I enjoyed this book. I'm really looking forward to them getting back to New York. Like I've said, I've said this before. This has been one of my favorite books constantly, even if it's had some bad moments. So moving on now, we're back to the Zero month with Green Lantern Zero. Yes, this is not Hal Jordan. This is Baz. Last name, I don't know. But he's the first Islamic superhero, as far as I know, especially in the DC universe. At least the first major one. And I don't know why he has a gun. It hasn't really been described. This was the introduction storyline. I mean, Hal and Sinestro are in here like they've been since the relaunch. But they're in some Black Void, and I think they're Black Lanterns now. We never see him in this costume. In fact, he's arrested for terrorism. And then a ring finds him in federal lockup while he's being waterboarded, and he flies out of there. I'm definitely going to pick up with this. Like, this is a prequel to the Third Army storyline coming up, so looking forward to it. Next up, this shocked me. I have to build this up, because it honestly shocked me. I mean, it's probably because the new writer has taken place, but my number 1 pick of the week, Detective Comics 0. If you've been watching these, you know how much I have hated Detective Comics. I mean, hated. But here it is. It's a great little flashback story about a sensei who trained Bruce and this girl he falls in love with and how they're betrayed. And it was actually really good. The art, really good. I think Tony Daniel does great books when he doesn't write them. And this proves my point. I loved this. We never even see Batman in costume. But it's still amazing for a Batman book. And then the nice little twist at the end with Alfred, getting threatened by Bruce's family on his mother's side, the Kanes, who want to take over the Wayne fortune because Bruce hasn't been found in years. Well, that was great. I loved it. I can't say that enough. What the fuck? Where has this shit been? For the past 12 months, I've dealt with shit. And now I get this. I'm excited. My flashback pick of the week, and keeps in pattern with what I've been getting so far from my DC picks, but this is the beginning. Nightwing and Night in Bludhaven, the start of the Chuck Dixon run. In fact, this volume of Nightwing ran for 100 plus issues, 150 over that, I think. Started it all. Really good. Bruce sends Nightwing to Bludhaven, and he decides to set up shop because it's a horrible, horrible town. And he wants to make it his town and save as many people as he can and fight corruption. The standard stuff, but it's really good. Thing that kills me, I got this trade at my comic shop for like $7. People want $100 on eBay or Amazon. Not worth it for a trade, but still a really good book if you can find it reasonably priced.